Is that
Yo,
better?
yo, I can hear you now.
Did somebody right down there help him?
No, but Janie said, let me help him. Gotta love technology.
Yeah, I'm not good at it.
That's okay.
This is new to me.
I feel like you're not alone.
How you doing? How's everything?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. No complaints. No
Yeah.
complaints.
All right. So thanks for speaking with me.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. This is Laura, the Sound Sommelier, talking with Tre Romeo. Tre, what's your earliest memory of hip hop?
Earliest memory would have to be when I used to stay at my grandmother's house. All the cousins were there when she used to watch us after school, and we used to watch Video Music Box of Ralph McDaniels. And I remember we used to fight over the TV because the boys wanted to watch Video Music Box and the girls wanted to watch, if I can remember, it was like some kind of like, I don't remember what show it was. It had nothing to do with music. It was some other like kid show. And I remember sometimes we went out and I'd be able to watch my, Video Music Box, which I was super excited about. And then I got to know the first song that left a mark on me, which is really odd, is the Salt and Pepper song, Push It.
That's not odd. I've heard multiple people say that.
Well, the reason was I was in a summer camp. So I would always watch Video Music Box and the song would come on because I didn't really know much about, a lot of rap music because I listened to a lot of Caribbean music. Mm-hmm. And I ended up being in the summer camp and they had like a dance tournament or something to that effect. And all the cool kids were like dancing to like Push It. And I was trying to learn the moves. I was trying to learn the song. It was this whole thing. I mean, I wasn't that cool when I was a kid, so I didn't get a chance to be a part of the Push It crew. But you know what? That was my earliest memory.
You don't think you were cool, I'm sure.
I was not. I had a heavy accent. It was not cool to have an accent back in the day.
Tre, where did you grow up?
Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York.
And for those that don't know you, what's your background?
Like where my family's from?
Yeah,
Background is Trinidadian. Everything else gets kind of muddled. The grandmother was Indian. My mom's mother was Venezuelan, but for the most part, everybody is Trinidadian.
So did you have a lot of different music playing in your house growing up? Or?
For the most part, it was just Calypso. It was Calypso 90% of the time. It was like David Rudder, Scrunta, Merchant, Shadow. Like these are the things that are playing 24/7. And then every now and again, because of the Indian influence, they had, in Trinidad, have something called chutney music. You had a couple chutney music, couple of chutney songs is pretty much it.
Okay. Can you share some of your favorite records that led to you becoming a DJ?
Favorite record?
Doesn't be a favorite record, but just some that you remember.
That I remember. I remember my first time when I got my turntables from my mom for Christmas, and when I decided that we were gonna start our own reggae sound system. It was me and my two friends. Shout out to Errol and Lee and the Gold Mine crew.
Oh, I didn't realize you knew Errol that long.
Oh yeah. I knew Errol. I've known Errol since junior high school. Mm-hmm. So we had our own little sound system. It was called Gold Mine. So I got this turntable. I got super excited about it. And back in the day, like in '90s Brooklyn, everybody had a reggae sound system. So the minute I got that one record player. Everybody was like, all right, you know what it means now? We got to get another record player, then we got to get a mixer, and then we got to become a sound system. So I remember I used to practice on, I only had my dad's records at the time, so I would practice on these Calypso records. One was by a record called Blue Boy by Super Blue, who's a Calypso artist. And I remember I got another album, this Beanie Man album. I can't remember the name of it, but that kind of got me like in the mix. So then we played our first party. And it was in a backyard because everything was in a backyard back in the day. You go to somebody's backyard, there'll be like a sound clash. So we had our first sound clash in a backyard. And that was my earliest memory. I remember I played Beanie Man, the Murderer remix was one of the first songs I played.
Mm-hmm. How old were you when you were creating mixtapes for VP Records?
That was cool.
How'd you get into that?
Oh, I was working at HMV. Shout out to HMV crew. I see Greg on there. I was working at HMV and because good friend of mine, Roberto, also, who I've known for a long time. He used to do a lot of stuff with VP Records, and they were always looking for a sound system to do their summer sampler. So they would have, or they had this idea for a summer sampler. So when they did the first Reggae Gold, they were going to have a Reggae Gold, and they were going to have like a record, another like a mixtape attached to it. So they asked us to do it. So it was me and my boy Errol and everybody else from Goldmine. So that was the first time we did something for VP. We did it for 3 records in a row, for 3 Reggae Golds. I remember my biggest memory is when I got in a dollar van one day, and I was hearing my boy Errol's voice, because he was like, Mike, man. And I'm like, yo, what is that? And that's when I realized, oh, wow, our mixtape is in the DVs going down Flatbush Avenue? That's a big deal. That was a big deal back in the day, because everybody was in those DVs.
Mm-hmm. And how old were you then?
I was probably 19, 20, maybe 19.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Is it true you were an aspiring stand-up comic?
Yeah, that was, I got set up. My mom, you know, every kid thinks they're funny, and everybody's parents thinks that they're the funniest kid on the planet. Mm-hmm. So my mom had a friend she worked with, his daughter, Leanne Lord, shout out to Leanne Lord. She was a comic. She's still a comic up this day, but she was a big comic at the time, and she had a comedy school. And she, you know, told my mom, like, hey, you can put him in the school if you want. So I went in the school. I was the only kid. Everybody else was grown adults and me. So I'd have to go like every Thursday. You have to write 500 jokes a month or something to that effect. I can't remember. So you have to write all these 500 jokes and then figure out the 3 jokes that worked for your set. It was this whole thing. So at the end of the term, you performed live in front of an audience. And it was a New York Comedy Club. And I remember, like, before we used to do class, like, you would see, like, Chris Rock working on his set. It was really cool. So I did my set, and my set was just, I did 500 jokes to come up with 1 joke. Mm-hmm. And it was the most inappropriate joke. I was 12 or 11. The most inappropriate joke that an 11-year-old would do. So my bit was, I'll go on the stage, I'll stand there, be really quiet and scared, and everybody starts clapping like, you can do it, you can do it. And out of my mouth was the most inappropriate thing that an 11-year-old could possibly say. I actually did it. It actually went over really well. I did it. I would say I was a working stand-up comic for a second, because after the class, I would go back to that same club, and I would do a bit. So I did it for about, wow, it felt like forever, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that long. And then I think my parents just didn't want to bring me to the city anymore. But yeah, so it was pretty dope.
People love their shock value.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed that your parents let you, or put you in that. Most people hear that their kid wants to be a stand-up comic, and they're like, no.
Yeah, it's a shout out to, like, you know, there weren't your typical. Well, my dad is a typical Caribbean dad. My mom was a little different, right? Whereas like my dad is, get a job. You know, you gotta get a job. I don't care what other stuff. My dad was an amazing painter. Amazing painter. Do you think he became a painter? No, he did some great paintings, but he had to go because he came in post office work. Mm-hmm. My mom would be the one who'd be like, it was more like, I don't care. You want to do it? Sure. I'll set you up. I'll help you out. And then she'd just move on about her way. They didn't come support. Don't get me wrong. I love them to death, but they weren't there.
Amazing. So how'd you get into acting? Did acting come after that, or was it happening concurrently?
Acting came after the stand-up comedy. I did acting. I remember it was one year. I was working in retail at the time, and I think I was working at Levi's. And somewhere down the line, I saw this ad to join an acting class. So I joined the class. I went to the class, and I thought, you know, something to do. And I didn't think I was going to be any good at it. I was like, stand-up comedy and acting, you think they go hand in hand? They really don't. So I decided to take the class. I did pretty good at it. I was like, this is pretty fun. And then I started to write my own material. And then he put me into the, it was like an accelerator program. So I got into that program. And who knows what it would have been, because then Mason was born, my oldest was born, and then I just didn't have the time to keep going to that class. My wife remembers those days. But yeah, so it was interesting. I didn't think, it wasn't until I did a particular scene with a really good actor who was a Shakespearean. This kid has been doing it forever, and he took it extremely seriously, and he was amazing at what he did. And we did Angels in America. And
Oh, I remember that.
yeah, and I remember I did the scene with him, and he thought that I was too, I guess, jokey. So he didn't think I was going to be good at doing this particular scene. And he didn't realize when I go into something, I go in like 110, and I crushed it to the point where he, in the middle of doing a scene, he had to stop. He was busy looking at what I was doing and forgot his lines. And that's when I realized, like, oh, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this.
Yeah. So we're going to sidetrack a little bit and kind of come back to that. Let's talk about your influential sense of style.
Oh, wow.
How would you describe it? Because I know you've been highlighted a few times in a few places.
How would I describe my style?
Maybe your wife should do that.
It changes over the years, right? It goes from my style goes like, you know, like there's photos like I was, you know, when I was back in the day, I would wear like dunks and 555 sole and my North Face jacket, like everything. It goes through the different levels. Recently, when I really started caring about style is I would say when I started working at J. Crew, right? When they opened the J. Crew men's shops, is when I really started to care about what I looked like. I would, you know, wear suits and this and come up with all these different kind of weird outfits and looks. And over the years, and this is like way before everybody else, I guess at the time, was giving a crap about it. These were these big black glasses that Janie bought me, which a lot of people weren't wearing at the time.
But those blew up.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I was in Soho prior to, you know, the whole Soho thing, right? It was like early Soho, and I was out there looking like a crazy kid, doing. So it's like a lot of people would look at what I was wearing, ask me what I was wearing, and that kind of stuff. I was wearing my dad's old like army jacket, and then over time, I think I got into the point now where, well, the year before last, it was like anything that had stretch in it because I didn't want to put on a belt, and I was just, you know, getting to that age. And then it got to just me putting on things that don't even match. So my boss would always tell me, or a lot of friends would tell me, like, did you get dressed in the dark? Like, I'm confused. Like, what are you wearing? And I was like, yeah, actually, I did get dressed in the dark. I just legitimately all I do in my closet is I take everything that I don't like, got rid of it, and everything that I do like, I keep it in the closet. So it all matches to me.
It all has to go together somewhere.
Yeah, my favorite shirt with my favorite pant, right? Everything goes together because it's all a mentality anyway. So I would wear like, you know, a t-shirt with a pair of crazy red plaid pants. It's kind of how I do.
I like it. I like what Janie said, he wears what he wants, which is...
Yeah, I wear what I want.
That's fine. Where do all of these interests intersect with your professional life?
I think it all comes together seamlessly, oddly enough, because I have, you know, the music. I wouldn't say I'm acting anymore, but, you know, being in front facing, fashion, all that kind of comes together, and it creates like a creative sense that my way of, you know, being creative, right? I'm not like Sarah Rutherford here who did this painting. I'm not a very creative person in that way. So I have to kind of, you know, get my creativity out my way, you know, so it could be, and I know we might talk about it, but making film, writing, and these are the things that allow me to be creative. So it all kind of ties together. That's
a perfect segue, because my next question is, so when did film come into the picture?
Film came into the picture with my boy, Brian. He was making a movie called The January Project. This is years ago.
I remember that.
You remember years ago. And he had asked, he wanted me to act in it, which I did. And then he asked me to help him do it, which I was just like, okay. And that kind of got the bug going. Then I was acting in another movie called Out of the Darkness with my friend Nikki Roberts. And so I'm in this movie, and then she asked me to help her do the movie. And then her and I started just doing things together. And then that kind of got the bug going in me. Last film I did was a film called Slumflower that I did with Street Etiquette and Visco. And and then I got new stuff coming up now too.
So yeah, my next question is about Slumflower. Your film Slumflower made its debut at the Cannes Film Festival in 2015. You've since directed numerous other projects. Do you have anything coming up that you'd like to share? Yes.
Working on a film. Well, we're in pre-production. A film called this is about gentleman, former boxer named Francisco Mendez. He's a former boxer. He opened his own boxing gyms in New York, in Mexico. An amazing story of like about love, and he came to this country, from Mexico, and he went back to Mexico just to see his wife. And he recently passed away during the COVID-19.
It's not last month, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a really special project. I'm always wearing his shirt, So shout out to Mr. Mendez and the Mendez family. So that's the next piece I'm working on. It's going to be a biopic. So we are getting all the necessary people involved, and Janelle, a friend of mine, Janelle, Janelle, she's translating the interview. We did a long interview with him for hours prior to him passing. So we're going to start writing that, and that's going to be my next project.
How long have you been working on that for?
We started because it took a while to get the rights to it, because his wife was very picky who she gave the rights to the story to. This is prior to him passing. This is just them in general. They were very, very selective. So it took a little bit of time to get that. Finally, when they gave it to us, and they felt like, they trusted us with the work. We started rocking, and we started doing the interviews. And the last interview we did was right before Corona hit. So like right before the quarantine happened. So that was the last interview we had with him. So, we were this was supposed to be the ramp up to start doing pre-production, and unfortunately he passed, but that's what
do something with that though.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure it's amazing.
Tell us about the Magic Hour film series.
Oh, Magic Hour. I saw one of my partners are on here. I don't know if she's still on, but Francesca's on here. Magic Hour. Magic Hour started with, well, let me say what the Magic Hour is. Magic Hour is a film event that myself, Kyla, and Francesca put on. What we do is we choose a filmmaker that we are excited about, and we showcase that filmmaker. But then we also ask that filmmaker to basically showcase two other filmmakers. So it's kind of like you pay that love forward. It's started off as like a showcase. We weren't sure what it was going to be. We just knew that a lot of times, especially a lot of we focus on short films, and a lot of people who do short films, there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of, because that's right before, you have the big corporation and the big producer. So you're really getting whatever you have inside out in your short film. And that's where all the talent is. And so we focus on that, but no one really gives them any love. Like you go to a film festival and short films are in a film block, and some of them are amazing, but who knows? And after that, nothing happens, right? You don't see those short films again. Maybe if you go on to Short of the Week, but you have to know these things exist. So it's kind of a way for us to showcase these amazing artists. And we don't just focus on film, right? We have musicians. We focus on all parts of the film world. But the main thing that we're excited about is that we don't just do it for film heads. The key is like every event, if it's one event, the first one we did was with Christine Turner, and it was an all women's panel. It was amazing. Second one was, I believe, Kevin Wilson Jr. And, like he did a film called My Nephew Emmett. So understand like the dynamic changes. And then we did another one with Riyadh, he's from Saudi Arabia. So then now that dynamic came in along with the people who came to the first and second one. So you see this mix of people who won't normally be together. And then also we invite people who don't necessarily, they just want to learn something new, right? So, that's the plan for Magic Hour.
So how do you guys go about choosing the films or filmmakers? Like, is it just people that you've seen or films that you've seen, or?
It's a little mix of both. Francesca, she's an amazing filmmaker in her own right and very accomplished. And she's been in a lot of film festivals, and it's kind of like people she meets along the way, and people she loves, and people that I love, people that Kyla. The next one we're going to be doing is, I think, Kyla's choice and someone that she loves. And I think we try to make it organic in that way. As the time grows, we partnered with 3 other people who have been helping us, who helped us do the last one that we did during this situation that we're having now. And I think now we're kind of going to start, getting to that point where we have people that we know personally, and then we're going to probably have people who we don't know personally, and we just kind of like reach out to them, cold call them kind of deal.
So how has the pandemic affected these events and anything else kind of around
it? We thought it was. We got a little worried because our event is very, it's about meeting people and being in connection and all. My whole thing is I always say I want to touch everybody in the room, which I can't do now. So
well, you still can, just not physically.
Just not physically. We partnered with this group called Stray, and they came up with an idea to do it virtual. So we did a virtual magic hour on Zoom. This was last week, and it went really well. I mean, I was super psyched at the turnout, and how many people stayed to the end, and we had a Q&A, and it was really special. And I got to give shout outs to Rashad, who was the featured filmmaker. He said some really inspiring words at the end, which everybody kind of like took to heart. And there's some filmmakers on there who were just like, who weren't part of it, who really take it to heart as well. And this kind of what the community is that we're growing, is this community of just creatives and people who just love to be part of something,
Yeah. So prior to the pandemic, or even now, did you have plans to kind of expand it, or were you just kind of like riding it out the same way? Or
well, we always have plans to expand, but it takes, those plans cost money, and and I think our whole thing is just keep doing it, right? And it's like, if you keep doing something, then the universe is going to kind of figure it out for you. It's when you stop is when there's a problem.
Who are the friends in 2 Friends, 3 Topics, and how to decide on said topics?
The friend, the friends are everyone.
Well, first, what is 2 Friends, 3 Topics?
2 Friends, 3 Topics is Anthony Minto. Anthony is an amazing improv.
I think he was in here, and he may still be in here.
He may still be in here. He's part of Improvolution, which is an amazing school. He has a show called Dirty Little Secrets, and he decided he wanted to do a podcast, because we have a podcast. It starts with a podcast. And so I was like, okay, what's the podcast about? He's like, well, I'm going to ask 2 questions, and you ask the 3rd question. And I was like, can I drink? And he was like, yeah. I was like, all right. So my 3rd question is going to come after I drink. We ended up doing, I want to say 10 episodes. We did 10 episodes on the podcast. Like, we have an actual podcast that's 10 episodes deep. And when the pandemic hit, we didn't know how to do it. So I asked him, I said, yeah, let's do it live. Anthony didn't even have Instagram, so he had to get Instagram for it. And then we did it. And the topics, initially it would be us coming up with topics. But what I love about the live is that it's giving us all this opportunity to change the dynamic of the show. So now it's the chat telling us what the topic is. And I think being 2 funny guys, it's kind of great when you get like a really serious topic, right? So it kind of changes the dynamic of the show. And it makes us kind of like, keeps us on our toes. And I figure that's a good way to do it. Anthony is from the improv world, where they just throw things at you and you have to deal with it. So I think that's one of the things about the show that I love the most. And that's kind of how we come up with our topics. I don't know if that answers the question.
So if you're given a serious topic, do you still try to bring like a level of comedy to it?
Or? We do. We got our 2nd episode. I think we got surprised with a topic that was pretty serious. And I was like, oh, and everybody was in it to win it, and they were going back and forth in the chat. And it's all love, But then Anthony added a little funny moment to it. That was kind of like our segue out of it. So we took the topic serious, right? So it's a certain level of levity that we take to the topic, but we also have to remember that we're also, in life we laugh, and it's just like, you have to find the laughter in whatever is quailing and whatever's happening. So we just kind of find that laughter coming towards the end of each topic.
Nice. Trey, do you have anything else you'd like to share or promote?
Sure.
Jamie, it got heated. Jamie said it got heated.
Oh, yeah, it did get heated. Do I want to promote? I mean, I got, let's see, 2 Friends, 3 Topics. Mendez working on Magic Hour. What do I have to? Oh, yeah, I'm working on another podcast called Pod Monsters from Mars. So keep an eye out for that.
What's that on?
Pod Monsters from Mars, and also.
Trey, wait. What's Pod Monsters from Mars on?
It's gonna be on iTunes, Spotify, and all the rest of the things.
Okay.
I'm doing it with Robert Tutton. Another little Bobby Tutton. Another thing I want to promote as well is a shoe company called Black Sock and Weber. It's me and my boy Chris. Please.
A shoe company?
Oh yeah. Two brothers in shoes.
Okay.
It's shoes made in England. It's a lifestyle brand. We're starting with shoes and we're gonna kind of move to different things. But keep an eye out, or just follow for everybody on here. Most people who are on here probably already know about Black Sock and Weber because some of them are my friends. But check out Black Sock and Weber. Well, it's an amazing brand.
I'll be posting this on YouTube. So. Oh
yeah, beautiful. And we have a partnership with the 76ers coming up. So keep an eye out for that as well. So we're growing pretty fast.
I don't think you have enough going on, Trey.
No, I don't.
You're slagging off all of it. But I hope you and your family stay safe and healthy. And thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.
I'll hopefully see you guys sooner rather than later. Tell the boys I say hi.
Definitely.
Have a good night, Trey. Thank you.
All right. Later. Bye.
Bye.